Welcome to Kimbolton here in Cambridgeshire for the annual running of the ever-popular TKM Festival. Talco, the manufacturers of TKM engines, are celebrating 50 years in karting this year, and earlier I spoke to their coordinator, Graham Butterworth. Graham, 50 years we're celebrating this year of Talco being in existence, and the BT82 engines have obviously been a big part of that, but just talk a little bit about the history of Talco.
Well, Talco started, yes, 50 plus years ago in the very earliest days of karting, not in those days called Talco, and has grown up with karting. It's gone through different phases of preparing karts, selling different karts and so on. And then, of course, many years ago, developed its own brand of TKM engines, TKM karts and so forth. So a long history, and we're going to be seeing today some of those karts out on the track that were raced many, many years ago, but a long history and a long, long future to come.
Yeah, one of the drivers out today is just 13 years of age. I think you've got to be 16 to race historics. He's got special dispensation. Ed Thurston, I think, racing the, well, not racing, but he's showing off the number 9 today as well. He's here, isn't he?
Yes, the historics are an interesting situation because a lot of them take part in displays, technically not races, and then there are other people who are racing. So it's a specialist area, but it is growing very rapidly over the past few years. And we now actually have a lot of demand for people saying, oh, you know, those engines you had on the shelf a year or two back, we'd like another one, please. So it's a growing business, strangely enough.
And TKM specifically, the Club Championship Series, now we broached on this last year. It's gone on to become even more successful, and there's talk now next year of it developing into the northern circuits as well.
Yeah, we created a first with the Midlands Championship, which is incredibly successful again this year. Already now for next year, we have commitment from other circuits in different parts of the country. So I would hope for next year we're going to have 2 or 3 different regional series running, which is excellent. It's club racing, it's encouraging people into club racing, and it's encouraging them to go and try different circuits which they perhaps haven't raced at before. So it's working very well, it's real grassroots stuff, and it's very, very popular.
And there's a changing face of karting, isn't there, as well at the moment? So TKM certainly seeing a resurgence. Just talk a little bit about that.
I think karting has changed in that these days people are recognising, because of the general climate, if you like, they're recognising they really want absolute value for money in their racing. And TKM represents that in terms of the karts, the engine, the tyres. They're all aimed to provide very close racing, but also cost-efficient racing. So people recognise they can get a lot of racing for their money with TKM, and of course incredibly close and competitive racing. So we're seeing a general resurgence around the country, actually, both juniors and seniors. So it's very healthy.
And unlike some of the other engines we see in karting these days that are sealed, the TKM engine, unsealed, very easy to work on, isn't it? You can easily change pistons and rings. I know a lot of the guys use engineers and engine builders to have their engines done, but that's not necessary, is it? If someone's looking to come into karting, knows a little bit about mechanical and wants to do their own engines, they can do that, can't they, with these?
Yeah, the basic difference is with a sealed engine, no one can touch it apart from the authorised person, and there are some complications there. With these engines, if you want to just check if your piston rings are okay or whatever like that, you can do it. It takes 5 minutes to do. So it's pretty simple stuff. We don't allow people to do lots of modifications to them, so we're very clear on what you can do with the engines and so forth. But it means that, you know, if you're perfectly capable of doing these jobs, you can get on and do it yourself, you can run it yourself. And of course a lot of people like that, they like getting their hands dirty.
And a lot of famous drivers over the years, Jenson Button perhaps the most famous, but a few other names that have raced TKM?
Yeah. I mean, many. Anthony Davidson, for Tom Onslow Cole, he was racing here at the festival a few years ago, now he's in touring cars. Many people in so many forms of racing have gone through TKM. We've got Daniel Weldon corner here at Kimbolton, named after the driver who won Indianapolis and then sadly died in America in a crash. Daniel didn't race in Formula TKM, but he certainly used TKM engines in his younger days. So many top drivers all have been through the TKM ranks.
And in terms of what we're going to be seeing today then, just give us a few names who you're looking out for, juniors first.
Incredibly close. I mean, Stephen Letts, GP plate winner, he's an obvious person to be up front. Andrew Rush, very quick. I think there are 3 or 4 drivers there who are very close indeed, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top.
And in seniors?
In seniors, well, Will Van Ness experienced at this circuit, very, very quick. He's up at the front there, but 2 or 3 other people up there as well. Joe Forsdyke, Simon Verco, a number of people, all within fractions of a second. And I mentioned for Josh Waring, he was incredibly quick here in testing on Friday, but has done something to his ribs, so he's struggling to drive around on all sorts of drugs. So we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, there's nothing worse in karting than hurting your ribs, that's for sure. And the clubman class as well.
Yeah, the clubman class aimed, same basic regulations, but just slightly simplified, and they use second-hand tyres and so forth generally. So it's aimed at producing incredibly low-cost racing, so maybe £100 for a weekend. And the guys are having some great racing out there, so it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top.
And the tyres are quite interesting, could be quite interesting this weekend. I know you've been doing some work on the tyre temperatures recently.
Yeah, tyre temperature is critical to racing. We've had all sorts of different temperatures here this weekend. On Friday when we were testing, I got one of the tyres, when I put the temperature gauge in, one of the tyres was at 94 degrees. Now that's virtually molten, so it's very, very critical. Tyres need to be at a certain temperature to work properly. If they get too hot, they just become useless. So it's very, very critical to get the temperature right. You adjust that by the pressure of the tyre. So slightly lowering the pressure when it's cold reduces the temperature. And of course we've got quite changeable weather. 1 minute it's very, very hot, next minute it can be quite cool, and that makes quite a difference to the performance of the tyres. So it's something people have to monitor very, very carefully.
It is certainly. I'm not sure what the conditions are going to be today. It looks like it's going to be pretty warm later on. Earlier I spoke to the leaders in the TKM Club Championship Series, both the junior and senior. Lewis, you're the lap record holder here at Kimbolton. Going well this weekend. I think you've got a few of the big boys worried.
Yeah, it's going quite well at the moment.
Starting on P2 in the heat coming up. What are you hoping for this weekend?
Just get round the outside of the first corner and hopefully just pull away. And
this is obviously clearly a track that you're very comfortable on. Of the front runners, who's worrying you the most?
Stephen Letts at the moment.
Yeah, Stephen, GP plate, he's always going well. Now, you're doing the Club Championship, TKM Club Championship Series this year. You're not doing the Super 1 Series, National Championship Series. Obviously, a difference in budgets. What was your reasoning behind choosing the Club Championship Series?
The Inter Club, due to we don't want to travel around the country and that is too expensive. We can't afford it.
Okay, so clearly karting, enjoying it's the most important thing, really, isn't it?
Just me and my dad enjoying ourselves of a weekend.
But this is classed as a bit of a national championship event, isn't it, really? Lots of people here, massive grid, a lot bigger grid here than we see at the national championship. So to win this would be sweet, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be quite an achievement.
Jason, you're leading the TKM Extreme Club Championship Series this year. How are you finding that? I think you've won the first 2 rounds, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a really good series. I mean, a lot of good drivers in it. And yeah, it's really good.
And compared to doing maybe the Super 1 National Karting Championships, why have you chosen that? Because it's more local?
Yeah, local and more affordable. And it's just, I can't afford new tyres all the time and stuff like that.
How you been going so far this weekend?
Yeah, really good. We got the pace. It's just finding a bit of luck in the heats, getting through the first corner. And just a bit of luck, really. That's what we need. Always helps, doesn't it?
The Kimbolton circuit here in Cambridgeshire is home to the Hunts Kart Racing Club, and it's the most successful karting club in the country at the moment, regularly boasting entries in excess of 215 drivers. That's all the more remarkable because the circuit itself is not on the National Championship calendar. It's an amazing success story, and earlier I spoke to Martin Chesterman, the club chairman. This circuit is not on the national calendar, and that does make a difference to a lot of other circuits we know. It's purely down to the popularity of the club, and what are you putting that down to?
We have a fantastic team. We put a lot of effort in considering what the club members want. We've made a great deal of improvements this year, right from January. Every month the club members come here and race. There are changes around the paddock on the site, and what we try and look at is value for money, efficiency, professionalism and being friendly. And I think what's happened is we've managed to attract more and more people, and people travel from quite a distance to actually come and compete at these events. And 2013 to date has been an extremely successful year.
That's probably the understatement of the year. After the break, we're underway with racing, and it's the clubman's up first.